Trump also spoke with reporters on Air Force One. A reporter asked him if he would be okay with language about Russian aggression in the summit declaration. No, they really did. They asked that question. Play the clip.
Mr. President, if there's language in the final summit declaration about aggression by Russia, would you be okay with that kind of language?
Well, I'll have to take a look at it, but I'd like to see a deal with Russia. As you know, Vladimir called me up. He said, "Can I help you with Iran?" I said, "No, I don't need help with Iran. I need help with you." And I hope we're going to be getting a deal done with Russia. It's a shame. 6,000 soldiers died last week. More, 6,500 soldiers died last week. Russia, Ukraine, a war that never would have happened if I was president. So enjoy your flight.
Let me ask you one more follow-up. In your comments just now about Article 5, that will probably make some people in Europe concerned. Can you clarify what you mean? Are you still committed to mutual defense?
I'm committed to saving lives. I'm committed to life and safety. And I'm going to give you an exact definition when I get there. I just don't want to do it on the back of an airplane.
Okay, and one other.
Yeah, smart. Meanwhile, Trump was again asked about Article 5 of NATO, which says that an armed attack against one member is considered an attack against all members. Play that clip.
We should pay what everyone else, they're in Europe, we're not. A lot of that money goes to rebuilding their bridges, their roads, so it can take heavy equipment. And, we don't have any roads in Europe. We don't have any bridges in Europe. So, no, it wouldn't be quite the same thing for us. But we're with them.
Are you still committed to Article 5 of NATO?
It depends on your definition. There's numerous definitions of Article 5. You know that, right? But I'm committed to being their friends. I've become friends with many of those leaders, and I'm committed to helping them.
What do you want the role of NATO to be going forward once these other countries are spending more?
By having a unified system, I think we're going to have stronger peace, better peace. And I think we have that.
Yeah. With all due respect, there's only one definition of Article 5. It's not like you get to pick and choose different parts. To be very honest with you, I'm not even sure why he goes to the back. I know he gets bored on these flights. Somebody should put on one of his two favorite movies, right? Like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and then just let him sit down, relax, chill. NATO is going to be a pain in the ass, probably equal to that between Israel and Iran, because they're asking him questions that are, I don't know, sophisticated, that require more than just an off-the-cuff statement. Trump was then asked if he would meet with Zelensky at NATO. Play that clip.
Do you think you'll meet with Zelensky when you're there?
Yeah, probably. I'll see him. Yeah.
What would you say to him?
Say, how you doing? He's in a tough situation. Should have never been there.
Yeah. I mean, again, I know Trump, all right? And what I'm telling you is he's always trying to be playful. But right now for Zelensky, his country is on the brink of total disaster. By the way, so is Russia. Remember when Russia turned around and said this war will be over before the end of the weekend 2.5 years ago? Sure. How many thousands, hundred thousands, maybe even close to 1 million soldiers Russian have died in this incursion? How are you doing? I don't know. I would say to him, if I was Zelensky, I don't know, Mr. President, how do you think I'm doing? Right? Meanwhile, yesterday, Trump posted this on Truth Social, ranting about Russia and nuclear bombs. Let me show you what he said. In it, he writes, "Did I hear former President Medvedev from Russia casually throwing around the N-word?" He's talking about nuclear, and saying that he and other countries would supply nuclear warheads to Iran. Did he really say that, or is it just a figment of my imagination? If he did say that, and if confirmed, please let me know immediately. The N-word should not be treated so casually. By the way, I totally agree with him here. I guess that's why Putin's the boss. By the way, if anyone thinks our hardware was great over the weekend, far and away the strongest and best equipment we have, 20 years advanced over the pack, is our nuclear submarines. They are the most powerful and lethal weapons ever built, and just launched the 30 Tomahawks. All 30 hit their mark perfectly. So, in addition to our great fighter pilots, thank you to the captain and crew. Now, let me be very clear. He's issuing a warning to Russia, and not Medvedev. Medvedev he's out. He was a placeholder for Putin, who wanted to and did actually accomplish rewriting the Russian constitution, which didn't allow a president to remain for more than 2 terms. Sound familiar? Now, meanwhile, last night, Peter Doocy explained that NATO leaders don't want to talk to Trump about the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Play that clip.
And Jesse, good evening. A lot of the NATO leaders that are already here in the Netherlands for the summit would rather spend most of the time talking about Russian aggression. Of course, Russia's still waging a war on this continent. But if President Trump arrives tomorrow as scheduled, he's not going to have to hear much about that because the NATO organizers have slimmed down the schedule. So the only meeting he's really got to attend with the other leaders is going to be about increasing NATO spending. That is something he's been talking about for years. Right now, 22 of the 32 countries meet the current spending goal, 2% of GDP. President Trump is trying to push them to raise it to 5% of GDP. We expect most of the NATO partners to come here and say they will try to get there by 2035, except for Spain. The Prime Minister of Spain says they do not want to up defense spending to pay to ensure protection for countries that are using harsh rhetoric. It doesn't sound like he appreciates the way that President Trump has been talking to the Iranians. Jesse.
Well, we'll see what ends up happening. Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked. You heard it here first. If Trump ends up pulling out of NATO altogether. Meanwhile, on Air Force One, Trump is asked about his take on the oil price situation currently going. Wait till you hear this one. Play the clip.
Okay. And one other question on energy. What's your take on the oil price situation right now, and are you concerned?
Great, I love it. It dropped almost $10 yesterday. I put out a statement, get it down, because a lot of people aren't able to do things when the energy goes down. You're going to have a lot less conflict. So it came down, and our energy department's doing a great job. We're drilling like we've never drilled before. We're keeping it down. We're going to keep it down until all these wars are settled. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll see you.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. It's not so much about drilling the oil that makes the price go up or down. It's the refinement. But either way, I understand his point. Trump posted this morning that he made sure that China, and this I don't understand, right? In one way, you want to sort of reduce the amount of money that they have in order to use for these conflicts, to get into these wars. But he posted it this morning that he's making sure that China is still going to buy its oil from Iran. In it, he turns on the words, China can now continue to purchase oil from Iran. Hopefully, they will be purchasing plenty from the United States also. It was my great honor to make this happen. Now, I have to be honest with you. I'm not 100% certain I understand what he did or did not make happen here. I mean, we're not talking about China who listens to the United States or anyone for that matter. By the way, same holds true for Iran. I'm so confused. You know, as I start out in my Substack, obliterated or overstated, on the world stage, words have consequences. So when the president of the United States announces things like, for example, Iran's nuclear program has been obliterated, the international community should pause, pay attention, and most importantly, ask for proof. Same thing here. What proof are you talking about? Meanwhile, Jesse Waters claimed that China and other important foreign entities were now on watch because of everything Trump accomplished with Iran and Israel. Play the clip.
And China's watching. The cartels are on notice now. And even Denmark probably won't put up much of a fight over Greenland. And even in the trade negotiations, this gives the president a little bit more leverage because it's not like we're going to drop bunker busters on Germany. But when you are willing to go to this extreme for something you believe in, the people that are at the negotiating table are going to take notice. I'm sure Lutnick is going to exploit this.
The fact that Jesse Waters is even allowed to speak, he could seriously be one of the most demented and stupid individuals of all time. It's just not the way diplomacy works. It's not the way governments work. And yeah, they're definitely watching what Trump is doing, no doubt. But I don't know. The only country to ever drop a nuclear bomb, an atomic bomb, not once but twice, is the United States many years ago. And yet the world watched, and the world still acts the way the world still acts. His entire premise is just bullshit. Meanwhile, Trump truly is not popular. He's just not too popular with many of the foreign leaders. Now, Pakistan actually recommended Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize, but then 24 hours later, went ahead and condemned Trump for his attack on Iran. Meanwhile, I want to end by showing you part of the New York Times article. And in this article, it broke down what foreign leaders are saying about the potential ceasefire with Iran and Israel. Let me start by showing you the first one. In it, it turns around and says, this is from Qatar. The ceasefire was in a gray area, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman, Prime Minister of Qatar, told a news conference on Tuesday. Here's the quote. No party wants to be the party that was hit last, he said. Qatar's emir helped negotiate the ceasefire, he said, adding that we hope to see truly is a serious ceasefire with the parties acting responsibly. Second one turns around and it goes on to say is the European Union. Reports of missile fire underscore just how fragile the ceasefire potentially remains, Anwar El-Anouni, an EU spokesperson for foreign affairs, said during a news conference. We do call on Iran to engage seriously in a credible diplomatic process, he added. Third one turned around, this is Russia. Dmitry Peskov, spokesperson for President Vladimir Putin, said the Kremlin hoped the ceasefire would prove durable. If a ceasefire has indeed been achieved, then that can only be welcomed, he said. Russia and Iran are close allies, and Mr. Putin met with Iran's foreign minister in Moscow on Monday, but there was no immediate indication that Russia had been involved in the diplomacy that led to the ceasefire announcements. Why not? Meanwhile, France went on to say, this is President Emmanuel Macron. He praised Mr. Trump's announcement that a ceasefire had been agreed, but he said, and this is what he said, quote, the situation remains volatile and unstable. And speaking to reporters during a visit to Norway, Mr. Macron said, the last minutes have shown that the situation remains very fragile. Finally, Germany. Chancellor Friedrich Merz said that he welcomed Mr. Trump's announcement and urged Israel and Iran to heed it. The United States and European countries would discuss ways to stabilize the situation later on Tuesday on the sidelines of the NATO Summit. Now, let me be very clear here, all right? None of these statements emphatically support the allegations. I personally hope that they are true for many reasons, but if they're not, it's a real problem because basically what it's telling you is that the words that we hear from the mouth of our president and our elected leaders can't be trusted. You know what can be trusted? Michael Cohen, this show. And as always, thanks for listening.